trying to have a conversation with you. I'm trying to have a conversation with you. Are you listening? Do you hear me? 'Cause I'm trying to have a conversation with you.
So we are back. Welcome to I'm Trying to Have a Conversation with You, a podcast with two sisters that never seem to be done talking. I'm Monique, and
I'm Kasha.
so last time we spoke, we talked a lot about social media, and we did a lot of the history of social media and kind of where it evolved from, what it's into now. And we did a kind of a deep dive on the good side of social media because I really think there is a good side. We started to talk about the darker side of social media, but I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to bring this back because I didn't feel like we got to really talk about that in detail like I think I wanted to, because I think that darker side of social media is so important nowadays because it's affecting adults, children, across marriages, family relationships. And it's just one of those things that I wanted to kind of dive into deeper. We talked a little bit about it, but I wanted to talk a little bit more in respect to the mental health impacts. I think that is highly underrated on how the world of social media affects people and how they're thinking. And I just want to throw out my opinion, and then I want you to give me your take on it. One of the things that I think is seriously impacting our social media, adults and kids, the idea of that is a reality base platform, regardless of what one we're talking about, whether we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, that it's reality based instead of recognizing that you're getting a snippet of someone's life. You're getting what they
Yeah.
want to show you. You're getting it in the best lighting, in the best circumstances, in the best whatever. And it is not giving people real ideas of what life is really like. Coupled with, I think it's creating false relationships because I think when the social media originally started, people recognized that Facebook friends weren't real. I think nowadays it's evolved to the point where people think Facebook friends are really my friends. And so I need to
Mm.
amass all of these things. And if it's put into social media that somehow it is absolutely true, or like there was a joke running that it doesn't happen unless you capture it on Snapchat
Yeah.
or Instagram. And I think that originally it was a joke, but I think it's definitely moved to that where people
Mm-hmm.
wrap themselves into social media as if it is a real life version. And it's very, to me, it's very scary, especially raising a child because I worry that social media is going to continue to grow. It's not going to go away. And I think we have to teach our children how to interact with it with safety nets. And
Mm-hmm.
we talked about it before that we give our kids phones, we give our kids tablets, we give our kids computers, and we forget that it is the same to me as handing a child keys to a car and saying, all right, go on a drive, be careful
Yeah.
because you are giving them access to the world and the world access to them and allowing them to develop who they are based on what they're seeing in social media. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, do you think that social media is affecting how people see themselves? Because I believe it absolutely is because of all the things I'm kind of talking about. And I think that it's giving people false ideas of what friends look like, false ideas of what bodies look like, false ideas of what good relationships look like. It's
Mm-hmm.
all these falsities instead of people looking at it like television. When we're watching a sitcom, we recognize that what we're watching on that sitcom is not real. And back in the day, we used to watch the Cosbys, for instance. They were the
Mm-hmm.
perfect family. They had
Yeah.
X amount of kids. He was a doctor, she was a lawyer, this, that, and the other. And we all thought it was a very good show to watch. It was very
Mm-hmm.
inspiring. But we were all in recognition that that wasn't still real life. That
Mm-hmm.
Cliff Huxtable wasn't a real person, that his
Obviously.
children were not real people. But I think that because social media has become so integrated that it is starting to blur the lines of reality for people. And so people are basing who they are in the idea of social media, well, this is what the person who is fit looks like. This is what a person who's
Mhm.
happy looks like. This is what a good relationship looks like. And I think it's really affecting people being able to look at themselves and be happy with their own skin, look at their relationships and be happy with the relationship they're in, and be okay with recognizing that you have to pour some of yourself in to a relationship to make it actually work. I think they look at social media and believe this doesn't take work. It just happens. And if it doesn't just happen, it's time for me to move on to something different. It's
Mhm.
run its course, or that, like, I just don't think that social media is giving reality, but I think it is absolutely affecting people in reality on how they see themselves.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with that, that it does affect how people are seeing themselves. And I think this is like across ages. I think it's more dangerous as the younger they are. Um, but it's across ages. There's people who are well into adulthood, my age, who I see struggle with seeing things that they want in social media. And on another episode, we were talking about our algorithms and how that looks like. And sometimes unknowingly, you can build an algorithm that really hurts you, that starts to show you a life where you're sucking at and things like that, and things that you miss out on in life, you know? Um, and I think that as an adult, we deal with that, right? And I mean well into adulthood, I'm in my late 30s, and seeing how for me, I don't really connect to it as much because I like I said, I cultivate my algorithm to be more about plants and like foraging and like, you know, herbology, all
Yes.
kinds of things like that. And I enjoy that. I don't really have a zest to wanna have a life of someone who's so rich or gaudiness and things, so I really don't have that attachment, but there's some people who really are hurt by that, or hurt by things where they see that, someone has a marriage that they think they want on
Right.
there, and even as adults, we struggle with understanding what is true and what is not,
Mhm.
and I definitely think some younger people in their 20s definitely um deal with that. And I think that that's why it's really important when they're children, when they're underage, to be very careful. It's something that my son and I kind of go and combat about the fact that, oh, I want to get on social media, but it's like there's so much that you will struggle with. Like in a time period when you are a teenager and you're coming into yourself and building up your confidence and figuring out who you are, it's really dangerous to get onto something that will challenge and highlight. And one thing I will say about social media is it's turned the volume up on so many things, good and bad.
Yeah.
So there's things that are not necessarily bad. People just decide are bad. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
so when it gets on that social media and however that enters social media, and it's like, oh my gosh, like you let this happen, you did this, or you grew up in that. I know this is people might come for me for this one, but the whole no contact with parents. Some parents, absolutely. I want to be clear, absolutely deserve to be no contact. Absolutely. There are some abuses that are just unforgivable. There are some things that are just outrageous. But I've seen some stories where there were things where just people had a difference of opinion and it was not tolerated. So they're like, I'm going no contact with this person over a difference of opinion.
Right.
And yes, the one thing is like, oh, you don't live in their house, you don't know that. But they brought it to social media. So if
Right.
they wanted to bring this story to social media and saying, I'm going no contact with my parents, and then they're telling a story that you're like, babe, he just don't agree with that, or he don't see things in the same way you see them. Um, and
Right.
you're going no contact. Of course, people have opinions. I think that's another layer is the amount of opinions that are out there. And
Yeah.
like I said, even as an adult, there's some filtering out that I have to actively do where I'm like, I gotta think about like with my own mind about this subject or thought. Um, but yeah, for me, I think that social media turned the volume up on so many things. I mean, there and I grew up, as a young child, as a millennial, being the 90s and the 2000s being my formative years. There were times that we really just did not have social media. And I mean, but it wasn't that serious. Like, you know what I'm saying? We were on
Right.
AOL Messenger talking about ASL, you know what I'm saying? Like, who you is? You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't the same. It was not near the same. just having to, like, figure out, like, I even fashion, the amount of fast fashion that has, like, came up started with social media. The reason for
Yeah,
fast fashion was because of social media. You can't even, like, I feel like, artists, like, can't even keep up with their music. Like, back in the day, we used to we'd be a year or 2 in between each album or more and be like,
right,
"Ooh, so and so gonna come out with the album."
right.
Nowadays, it's like they better to stay relevant, just constantly put out and put out and put out. So it's just a lot of information coming at once, and it's just a lot of opinions coming at once, and it's just become turn the volume up, and it's just a little too much sometimes for all of us, and especially young people.
I
There's
think
a
that's a
song that I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. No, you go ahead.
There's a song that, Olivia Rodrigo, which is one of the young artists I do like, and, she has a song called "Jealousy." And she says in that song where she's like, almost like she doesn't even wanna be a part of this social media thing, but she was like, jealousy started following me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I couldn't even help it, but I can't help but compare myself to these people, and that's the big thing. The comparison is just
Yeah,
that's, like, ugly, and that's why it's really nice and refreshing when you have some real people who are like, "Oh, this is what I really look like. This is what my house really looks like. This is who my friends
right,
really are. This is where I really
right.
live. These are my real struggles," and so on. But go ahead.
Well, no, I thought that when you were saying, like, turning up the volume on it, I think that is
Mhm,
such a perfect way to put it, for lack of better terms, because I think that social media as it came into existence, the volume has just been turned up higher and higher and higher and higher to the point where it is just like drinking from a fire hose. It is,
mm,
in order for artists to stay relevant, they've got to put out 4 or 5 videos or shorts or something. Something has to happen every day because we are growing up in a culture, or our kids are. We're grown, but our kids are growing up in a culture where if it's not right in front of me, I don't care. Whereas,
mhm,
before when I grew up, I grew up in the era of MTV. So if an artist was gonna be relevant, they put out a video and that would be after the whole album came out. You might get a single, but it was gonna be a long time in between. In my opinion, it was a little more manageable because there's so much sometimes. It's almost overwhelming. And I say, as somebody who has really kind of stayed on the sidelines of social media, we joked about it in the beginning. Um, but I think I did that because for me, I just felt like it was so overwhelming, and we talked about my brain. My brain don't like to be overwhelmed. So it was just like, we don't need to do that, you know?
yeah,
But I now have to realize that now I have to be in it to an extent because I have a child, that I want to make sure that I understand what he might be experiencing. So I have
mhm,
got to interject myself into it so that I fully do understand it. And with that being said, that is why we have had the discussion. He is younger.
mm,
We'll refer to him. We started using the names of them as Arctic Wolf. Arctic Wolf is younger, but he is already at the age where kids are his age carrying cell phones. And he wants to know, when can I get a cell phone? And I have explained to him, when you are not with an adult that I can call and get in touch with. When you travel by yourself, then I'll get you a cell phone. Until that point, no. And I've already started to have conversations with him around social media to say that even if he has a cell phone, at night when he comes home and the day is done, the cell phone comes to me.
mhm,
Because to me, there is just not anything good that is going on, and I don't want him to be that consumed. I want him to still enjoy childhood because I have seen now with my pivoting in careers, I will say, I have pivoted to be in the school system a little bit, and I'm seeing the
mhm,
kids and the impact that having social media and it's the dumbest stuff too, like, they're instigating fights with each other on Instagram and then coming to school
yeah,
and fighting. I mean, it's just insanity, and I think that we are giving our kids this access without a lot of direction because I think we have parents that are still learning and trying to figure it out, but the idea of we're creating a generation of cyber bullies because they get on there, they say whatever they want, they are reckless behind a keyboard because I'm not looking that person in the face. We're not teaching them the feelings that happen behind that. We're not
mhm,
teaching them the ripple. the butterfly effect that occurs when they do something. And it doesn't
Mhm.
matter if you do it in cyberspace or if you do it in real world, there is still a butterfly effect. And in cyberspace, I feel like that effect goes so much further. So I just think that we are obviously on the same page about it. I don't want to keep my kid out of the social media world because I definitely want him to be introduced to it. I always say to my husband, I want to introduce him to things when I still have the ability to have influence on his thoughts. So at
Mhm.
8 and 9, I still have influence. By the
Mhm.
time your children are 15, 16, you have some influence, but not as much. So I want to introduce those concepts of things to him now so that I have the influence to say, let me just talk to you about why. Let me tell you the why. Let me make sure you still understand that mom and dad have your best interest at heart. And this is what can happen. And you're going to start seeing this. And as he sees it, then it gives more credence to what I'm saying to him.
Mhm.
So I have an additional question to go along with this. Do you believe that um, because of the way that social media is affecting people seeing themselves and connecting and affecting kids. There's been a lot of talk in the news, specifically about one company that has allowed things to happen on their platform. And they feel like people have felt like this particular company has not gone out of their way to protect, especially children on their platform. Do you
Mhm.
think that platforms have a responsibility in this day and age to protect children? Oh, not children, people, not just children.
Okay.
Do they have a responsibility to check to protect people? Secondary, do they also have an additional responsibility to protect children even more?
I think they have a responsibility to protect people in the way and children in the way that they are needing to be protected in the world in a similar way. Um, and that means a threat of harm. That means um, abuse of any type. Those things I think need to be checked and investigated. They need to have something to flag those things, which a lot of them do. I remember I got in trouble. I wasn't even trying to be funny, well, trying to be mean or anything. I was on Facebook and somebody said, "Oh, we should have a spades tournament. That would be so cool to have that in our town." And I said, "Yeah, that's good." I said, "But let me tell you something. I'll beat everybody up off that table, baby. Why did Facebook tell me that's your first warning? Don't say that no more."
You
Literally, they were like, "That was hate speech or something like that." I said, "Baby, what?" Because I said I was
to
gonna
beat
beat
somebody off a
somebody off the
spades
table.
table?
Yes, because I said beat, and that was enough
You
for
can't
them.
say that? You
No,
can't
you
say
can't
that
say
on?
that, apparently. So
Oh,
so
you learn something new every
so
day.
they do have some things in place, but, I will say this, there's some things in like that in place, but I've seen some other very harmful things be able to be allowed to go by online,
Yeah.
like certain words and things like that. We're like, I can't say this, but you can say that. Okay. So I don't know. And to me, I feel like they have the technology. I don't
Yes.
believe for one second that they don't have the ability to govern that in such a way. Like AI is so advanced at this point, AI could pick up on so much stuff and be like, oh, well, this is absolutely wrong. So I think that we should be protected in a way that is similar to real life. In real life, I'm not supposed to be threatened with harm. In real life, I shouldn't have harm come to me. In real life, abuse is not acceptable. And I want to be careful about what I mean abuse. Abuse is not liking what I say. Abuse is literally things that can get you arrested.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking about. Those are the things where they have responsibilities in those. Because some people call abuse, you know what I'm saying? I ain't like how you had said that. That's abuse. That's not abuse. You know what I'm saying? Abuse is when something that could literally get you arrested, it's actually could bring harm to someone. So I think they have that responsibility. Now, on the other end, and I know this is gonna be a little controversial. I think that it also should be similar to the real world in the way that someone should be able to speak on things, whether I like what they say or do not like what they say.
Hmm.
Opinions, I think, should be open. Now, I feel like we could have that little filters and responsibility and say, hey, because I'm this person, I want to be able to opt out of words like this. I want to opt out of speech like this. Don't show me this on my algorithm.
Right.
Um, But I do think that I don't wanna be in an echo chamber. That's something I constantly say. I don't wanna hear the same opinions that I have all the time, the same words I say, the same things. Unless this is something that someone has threatened harm, even in a message, I feel like they should be able to flag a message where I'm, like, messaging, like, "Monique, Imma hit you side your big ass head." They should be able to be
Never
like,
happening.
They should be able to say, let me stop it right there. You just threatened harm." Whether it's like how Facebook did me, that's your first warning, or this, that, and the other. And they have the ability. They work with the police when things get ugly, or
Right,
when they're investigating something. They have the ability to look at these things, find out, get into these accounts, and figure that out. I don't
right,
think that like there's been situations where these people and rappers and gangs and things like that who could get together and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this to this person." Like immediately
right.
call the police
Yeah,
immediately. They shouldn't even get to the point where they can start filling up their ammunition. You know what I'm saying? They shouldn't even get to that point. They should be able to be like, "Oh, the police at your house because was running your mouth on that Facebook."
yeah.
You know what I'm
Got
saying?
you. Straight to
Um,
jail.
Right to jail right away. But if it's not harmful, and I specifically say not harmful, if it's not something that's literal physical harm or sexual abuse or any kind of physical abuse is going to happen, if I just don't like what you said, I think it should be free range. And I should be
Right.
able to, as a person who has an account, I should be able to go in there and filter out and say, I don't ever want to see my account say this stuff to me. You know what I'm saying? That's a difference for me. Whether it's out there or not, that's fine. I just don't want to see it. Um, so that's my opinion.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think there is some level of responsibility to these social media platforms because a lot of the stuff they are doing, they're making a lot of money. So they can invest in keeping people safe. Where I do think it stops is I don't think that it is their responsibility to monitor how long you are on there. When we're talking to people who doom scroll, I don't think it's their
Mm,
responsibility to be like, "Hey, you've been on it for X amount of time." No, you are, especially when we're talking about adults. But if we're talking
yeah.
about children, I look at it and compare, um, you know, Arctic Wolf, when he's on his game system, I have an alert that comes to my phone when he's been on it too long, because as a
Mhm.
parent, it is my job to say, "Hey, player,
That's
turn that
enough.
off. You've been on there a little too long. That's enough. Turn it off."
Yeah.
And I think the same goes for social media. When he gets a phone, there's certain social media platforms you're not getting. You're just
Mhm.
not. You don't need them, and especially, like, honestly, his first phone will really probably just make phone calls and texts because that's all you really need to do. You don't need to
Right.
do all the other okey doke. Um,
Mhm.
I say that now, and that could evolve, I will say, for parents who are like, "You don't have a kid this age because they have this going on or that going on, or they need to be." Okay, that could evolve, but he does not need to have certain things, and if it's something that's not a requirement, I don't think he needs it. When it comes to adults posting their opinions, I don't have a problem with that. I think we live in a world nowadays where we think that I can only be friends or know people or interact with people who think or act just like me. And I think it's creating clones. I don't want people who think and act just like me. Even you and me disagree at times. We've done episodes of hot takes where I almost said we couldn't be friends no more. So but
You
I
couldn't
don't think a
bear
person
it.
who has a different opinion than me, I don't want them banned. If they
Mhm.
threaten people, if they're doing things that are illegal, and where I do say that platforms have a responsibility. If you are a platform that is geared towards children, and you are letting adults be on that platform who are trying to entice children to do things like run away, like get involved sexually with adults, that is not a situation where you can say, well, it's up to the parent. No, you have a responsibility as a platform that is geared towards children to make sure those children within that platform are safe. And I compare it to schools. A school has a responsibility to keep the children within the confines of their gates safe. They can't just let adults roam through there freely, even if they're parents. There is a process to check them in, check them out, let them get their kids, let them not interact with other kids, et cetera, et cetera. And there should be a process in place for that when you're talking
Mhm.
about that. I'm not saying every platform, but the ones that are geared for children, that are really pushing an idea of drawing children to their platform, that is their responsibility. And it is foolish
Mhm.
for you to think that that isn't something that you should be investing money in, because a lot of these platforms for children are making a ton of money because children are interested. So you need to invest in protecting them.
Agreed. I
Agreed.
think that, going more towards when you're speaking about the children, I think all platforms, especially like you said, the ones geared towards children, but I think all platforms should. And I don't buy. I'm not buying it. Somebody could come over here and read me and be like, "All right, actually, I'm a programmer and I know all this stuff." But listen, and I'm not buying that there isn't some system that could be and should be in place that it should be able to know when a child is a child. It should be able to know when a image is not really an image that's really coming from that child. So when a child
Right.
enters into that platform, if they ask, "Are you over 13 years old?" Which is even young for me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they say, "Are you 13 or older?" But it is a different place than a kid who's not 8 or 9 years old, right? But
Right.
I think again, I know that this is a violation of privacy, but we are not in a private space when we are on social media. And
Nope.
so even our DMs, like somebody could overhear my conversation next to me in real life and say, "Oh, she said something that is against the law. I'm going to go report this." I feel like even in DMs, if certain conversations are happening, they should be able to even if you don't, obviously human eyes are not really looking at it, but if there's an AI way to look at that and say this conversation does not sound like two children talk to each other, or even if it does, this child is encouraging this other child to do something that shouldn't be done. So this account is going to get flagged. This is going to be a different situation because the big bad wolves are totally different than they ever have been. You know, it
100%.
we used to, when we grew up, where they were like, "Oh, watch out for the white van," or the person asking you to help them look for a puppy. They're not doing that anymore. That's like old news. They are on these like Roblox and on these, social medias and chatting it up with these kids, pretending to be children. Cause that's the other thing. A lot of these children are like, "No, it's my friend. He's 10 too," and you're like, "No, baby,
Mhm.
he's not."
He's not.
But I think that that should be a high priority, and I think that them they have an avenue to be protective over children, and I feel like they have an avenue where they can look at situations and say, "Hey, this doesn't look like two children talking," or "This child is inappropriate in this way," even if it's in DMs, and be able to just uproot that account and block, automatically,
Yeah.
until if you could absolutely appeal and say, "No, it was two kids talking and I wasn't talking about him getting butt naked." You know what I'm saying? But it's like
It sounded like
something,
it.
right? It sounded like it to us. Our AI said, baby." Chat GPT said that, I'm calling BS. But there should be a way like that. So
Yeah.
absolutely. And
I
first
think
and foremost, protecting kids.
for sure. And I think one of the picture that you paint when you say the white van is coming into your house now. It drives in, it picks your kid up in their bedroom, and it drives them out of your house. That's the reality of what's happening. So, kind of along the same lines, but shifting gears a little bit, social media and real life. There it has now been a major overlap between online and real life when we talk about dating and relationships, friendships, drama, parenting in social media, and the idea that of even just privacy. So, what are your thoughts about how much social media overlaps into people's real lives and makes them feel like if it doesn't get posted, it didn't really happen?
Mm. And what's funny is that I think it's my age now where the people that I see online are not posting in the way that they did when we were in our 20s, right? But in our 20s, it was so hyper on, and it's funny because the evolution of social media has changed the way it's influenced how people act.
Mhm.
I remember when you got on Facebook back in the day, all we did was post what we were talking about and be like, "Yeah, we ain't got some coffee today, blah, 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 and at this good place." That was it. We was chatting about what happened, or I'm hanging out with so and so, whatever the case is. And now it's less about what our words coming from us and more about how do I look to other people. So,
Yeah.
I think that for my age group now, I really feel like a lot of, the millennials were more into like the the comedy of it all and being like,
Yes.
"Oh, how is it raising kids? How is it doing that?" And somewhat being influenced. I think that those younger people, they're dealing with how things are looking to them and being like, oh, so the overlap of them thinking that that is life. Like there was a conversation where a younger person was talking about, they were like, yeah, what was it like to go to the club? Like they don't, some of them don't go to the club. They don't really have
Really?
that experience of going to the club and the dressing up and that whole, and we were like, that was the
Really?
heyday. You know what I'm saying? Like that was our heyday.
Baby.
And it was funny because the
Club.
girl was like, "Oh, you want to know the millennial, like peak millennial, is getting dressed in what we used to call what me and you called a bimbo dress, but having all, you know what I'm saying, the crazy, like all the way. We used to say, they said, the millennials did business casual at the club, which was
What?
facts. Wore a blazer to the club and some high heels in a minute.
Shut
Saying,
up.
but the point of it
So
is
they don't go
that
to the club at all now?
some of them don't at all. Some of them never really experienced it.
Wow.
Yeah, and some of them are like, it's not like a thing like it was. Like when, you were coming up, I was coming up. It's not a thing.
Yes.
So, yeah,
They
so there's
missing
things
out,
like
baby.
that, and so that is life. Like we used to show out at the club, you know what I'm saying? Like that was the
Right.
whole point. Girl, I'm finna show out at the club. I'm a killer when I get to the bar. I'm finna go
Kill 'em.
crazy.
Wait.
When they see me pull up in my brand new
Kill 'em when
Altima.
I get there.
Cause the girl, I was an Ultima girly, which is hilarious.
Killing them.
Social media has cracked me up about Ultimas because they were like, girls in Ultimas were crazy. They drove fast. They always whipping it. They got scrapes on their bumper. And you
Was
know what's
that you?
funny is the thing that influenced me to get an Altima was I was on the interstate, I was on the expressway one time, and this girl was about to miss her exit, and she had an Altima, and it was a coupe. And at the time, girl, I had a raggedy old Nissan Sentra, and she whipped from around me, went ahead of me, and hit that, and she still made her turn. I said, I think I want an Altima, but apparently that was the baddies, car. So I found that out. That was hilarious.
What?
But because I used to whip it too, girl. I used to do it dirty. But yeah, so I think that is life for them now. So it's not
Yeah.
even like literally an overlap. That is life. Period.
That's
You know what I'm saying?
crazy.
It's not necessarily where it's like, oh, this is overlapping in my real life. A lot of them, like, this is what real life is
That
to
is
them.
life.
I do say like a lot of them are going out for more of the experiences and like doing interesting little things, traveling a little bit more than I think some of my age group did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that a dangerous thing about and I thought it was such like you say, some of this stuff started off as jokes. We were like,
Right.
cyberbullying. And I used to think it was the lamest thing in the world to see a man argue online with another man. You know what I'm saying?
It is. It
Which I
still
didn't even like to see
is.
the girls do it. I used to like, but I used to think that was so lame. Like as a woman who, looking for a man, I would be like, if I seen a dude I was talking to arguing with a dude online, I'd be
Cut
like,
off.
what? You're a
Bro,
cornball.
you
But
are a
now
cornball.
these things are so normal to argue, and some of these people are getting to the point where threats of violence and actual violence has happened. So it's like I say, you could turn and say, oh, that's a joke. It's not even the overlap. That's what it is. Like somebody started talking
Yeah.
shit on social media that became a real life issue and a real life
Yeah.
death. And that's
Yeah.
like mind blowing to me. So I
That's
think
wild.
on one end, some things are, like I said, with TikTok, I think seeing things, I saw another shift with social media. Like at first, like TikTok was
Yeah.
all the funny games and things like that. And now I'm seeing like people trying to open up and people, like I say, build community. It's a strange place. It's a strange place, but
Yeah.
this is what life is. That's their social media has become the social club.
Yeah.
So,
I think when you said just then and a light bulb went off for me because I'd never thought about that there is no overlap between online and real life. This is just real life for them. And
mhm.
that, gosh, that can be, I think it can be scary um, if it's not handled right. But with it being real life, I think when you said that, it made me lead into what I was going to ask next, because both of us are in committed relationships. I'm married. You're hippieing too close to the sun. Um, so now dating and relationships, have they moved completely into the social media world? Is that where it all has to take place now?
And I don't know, I have my experience now where I'm working in a place where people are as old as in their late 50s and as young as in their early 20s and late teens. So it's like such a range. And so I get to see a different side of people.
Mhm.
And I think for the most part, that's how I've heard it go on. Like the younger kids are like,
Wild.
"Oh yeah, like I was talking to this guy," and I love to hear people talk. So I
Right.
really don't have like a preference towards like age and just being like, I can't listen to those young people run their mouth.
Yeah.
I just like to listen to people. And so I will hear some people say that. They'll be like, yeah, I just found him on Tinder. I found him on this. I didn't hear the young people do Facebook dating. Y'all have to tell me if that really is going on. I know a lot of people my age was doing Facebook dating, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that it is like that. Honestly, I think the young people let people slide in they DMs. They don't even wait for the apps. They
Oh.
just be like, they let somebody
Oh,
slide in the DM and be like, "Hey, girl, I
and
like how
it's
you was wearing that
cool.
bathing suit," and she was like,
That's wild.
so yeah."
But I mean, I guess if that's how they're meeting, I just wonder, like, thank God I have no interest in getting into the dating scene. Me and my husband, I said to him, "Till death do us part, bruh, you here.
Blooded
You ain't
in.
going nowhere." Um, so, like, it just blows my mind to me, and coming from a generation that didn't date like that, I'm like, "No, I wanna talk to the person. I don't want them sliding into my DMs. I don't want to talk to them, you know, online," uh, because, to me, it still is shrouded around fear because of the fact that we didn't do that back then. So, it's just like,
Mhm.
oh, I don't know who I'm dating. That's how serial killers find their victims. I don't wanna do that. But it's not that way.
I will say that the millennials kinda popped that off because I know a lot of people my age who did meet that way.
Mhm.
Absolutely met
Yeah.
on social media and have successful marriages and
Yeah.
stuff. So I can't really say it's not like a terrible thing. I think the only thing that is a little alarming for me is because nowadays it's like very frowned upon people approaching each other. Um, I've heard a lot of people like, "Oh, it's just so weird. He just came to talk." You know what I mean? It's like they act like somebody's gonna hack them to death.
But you'll meet him on
So
the online.
right, but like some rando, you're like, he could be lying about everything. And which
Yeah.
I feel like they sometimes they do their investigating. They kind of look and be like, he just started his account 2 months ago. I will not be dating him. Who the hell is that? Like you have to have some history there.
I've
They need to be able to
seen.
go back 240 weeks and be like, okay,
Maybe that's the other part I'm not getting is there are social media detectives
yeah,
that keep things on the real. So
yeah,
I will say too, the other thing besides the dating, people creating friendships out of social media, I find very
hmm
crazy. But then taking those friendships and when things don't do good, being real messy with them. I mean, don't get me wrong. It is entertaining for those of us that are here for the
absolutely.
messiness. I'll come in here because it was about to get messy. Yes, baby. Oh, what's she say? Uh, uh-oh. Uh, Like, I am for it because it's entertaining, but I think it's because I look at it from a perspective of this is just entertainment. It's not real life. But this really is real life for people. They are really living this sometimes, and it is public and messy. And they start oversharing. Privacy goes out the window. And it's when I say messy, it's not just with friendships, it's also with marriages that are unraveling. My opinion is you don't have to drag somebody
hmm
in order to cut them out of your life, whether it's a friend or a spouse. And I
Yeah.
think that when you, in this day and age where you can post it on the internet, it never goes away. So
hmm
it in that time period when you are emotionally charged, it might feel good to drag that person. It might feel good to put out all their business and
hmm
make it so that things that were private between y'all are no longer private and you overshare. It might feel good to be in the drama, but I also feel like that's what feeds a lot of the drama outside of that social media world. That this is what people think life is like.
hmm
No, marriages have unraveled for years without
Yeah.
having to put it on display. That's a part that I just can't. I personally would not get involved in. I've been through a divorce
Yeah.
before. I had no interest in wanting to drag my ex-husband, and I just think I've had friends that I have cut off. I didn't have a reason to have to drag them on internet. Let me tell you this. Come at me. What are you doing? Because if she does roll up on you out in the streets, what you gonna do? What you gonna
Yeah.
really do? You know?
Right. Some of them fight. I
Some of them
I will
do. That's
say
the other thing. But would you have fought in real world because you got really, really, like you got on the internet and was like, let me type. You were real brave behind a keyboard, and then they did actually roll up on you.
yeah, and that's
So,
happened before.
yes,
I will
ma'ams.
say that I it's interesting because I have caught myself falling victim to wanting to know more about somebody's business that is not none of mine, okay? None of mine. And I had to
Well,
like check myself
that's
like
not my
who
business.
owes you this? Especially
Right.
people I saw that they got a divorce and I want to know why. Y'all used to post together and be kissing and hugging. Now
Yes. Why you ain't no
why we
more?
don't see them no more?
What
What
happened?
happened? You owe us an explanation with all them pictures you used to show us every day. I want to know. But I
Y'all
had to
post
check
too much to just stop showing up.
right. It was like a picture or two every day. It's like, "Ooh, I love him." I'm like, okay, so now I need to know why you don't love him.
Why you don't love him?
But I had to check myself. There's times like I do be on that TikTok. Uh, and I would be like on there and being like, oh, so and so, I could tell they're not together. Like she needs to explain it. He needs to
Yeah.
explain it. But it's just because I'm invested because I watch that person, but I'm not owed that at all.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting because when going back to when you said about starting friendships, I feel like that's like because I've seen what TikTok has done where some people have gotten like built community and they
Hmm.
actually did create real life friendships from people that I think could be are really genuine. There's people who have found people who gave them a kidney on TikTok.
Oh,
You get what I'm saying?
wow.
Yeah, like, so there's a lot of, like, beautiful things in that
That's
way where I'm
real.
like, I can't just literally, like, exit out where I'm
Right.
like, "Whatever," because we have to think, and I think that there's a privilege in everything. Um, we grew up in pretty much a decently known city, so there it was a lot of hustle and bustle around. Not like I don't think when we were growing up it was like crazy, but it was a way to have access to people and things. Sometimes I think with having these social media, the people who were on the outside, the people who were in rural areas, people who didn't have access or
Yeah.
came from a really bad family had a avenue now to make
Yeah.
friends or find their tribe. You know what I'm saying? So um, that's one thing where I think is beautiful, but I also think it's very scary because you don't I feel like you're less able to understand intentions when you're not face to face. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, I don't even think FaceTime can pick up some of the things that you can pick up in real life body language.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that a skill that I think a lot of people are losing, and I won't even just blame it on young people. I think a lot of people are losing because they're falling for just people being nice. And I always say I do not like nice people. That is something that I have been saying for some years now. I do not enjoy nice people. I like
You
kind
have to
people.
explain.
I like kind people. I hate nice people. And I say that in a sense where people who are nice for the sake of being nice, like they're just going to always smile or say that whatever they feel, in a really passive aggressive way, or they're like, I don't want any conflict. Like I can't stomach
Ugh.
that. There are ways to speak on everything. And that's something that I've always said, like on both sides. You don't have to be a nasty, evil person and when you're talking to people, and you don't have to be so nice that it's syrupy sweet to be liked or understood. And I feel
Right.
like being understood is more important than being liked. So
100.
I feel like picking up and I think I read people pretty well. I've been able to pick up when someone is just nice and not kind, which is two different things for me. And that's something I would know from interacting with them in real life. And
Yeah.
I think that that's scary for some of the people who are lonely and some of the people who need that social interaction, how they could be taken advantage of from someone who is um not really a kind person and
Yeah.
has terrible intentions for them. So that's scary for me. And like I said, I think it's beautiful in the way that they can create community, but it's
Hmm.
scary in a way where someone can take advantage of you. And sometimes people could have more money than you and still take advantage of you.
Oh yeah.
Or they could have things where you're thinking like, well, why would they take advantage of me? It's literally the way they're mentally set up. They're
Right.
narcissists or they're nasty. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
want to hurt others. So
Yeah.
that's the thing I feel scared for with people. And I feel scared because I think that discernment has gone away with everybody. And like I said, I'm not really blaming young people.
Yeah.
The discernment has gone away. I remember like there's people I watched online and I think they've gotten better just from watching them over the years. But when TikTok became it had its little boom, there were people I would follow and I'm like, oh, I love this person, this, that, and the other. And then they would have people come over again later on, like, you find out, what was really going on. Like, I'm glad the girl you made it out of that because I was scared for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And even to this day, it's funny. It's something I do. People are posting they post like their video and they're meaning to be funny or whatever when they have identifying markers on them. Like sometimes they'll accidentally leave their license plate in the video or their address, and I'll be like, I'll
Yeah.
just message them or I'll like comment, "Hey, re-upload that one. That has your address on there."
Yeah.
Like, go
Go
ahead
ahead and
and take
fix
that
that.
down, baby. Your license plate's on that. We can find you. It's scary that way, but I just think that it's a good and bad thing to make friendships on there. It
Yeah.
is to me.
I just wanted to go back when you said about, and I didn't think about this, but I've done it too, being invested in people who have been couples and then they break up or something like that. There was actually a couple recently that I used to watch all the time and they split up. And I was like, wait, why? And I go digging through and like I invested way more time than I should have. But it was because it was like they used to post like 5 or 6 things
Mhm.
a day. And I think
Yeah.
even those of us who are smart enough to know it's not real, that we
Yeah.
do get invested because it's like
Yeah.
watching a television show that doesn't have a season that ends. It
Mhm.
never you don't get the break from it. So, I think that's really interesting. One thing I wanted
Another
to
I'm sorry,
Oh,
I'm
go
so
ahead.
sorry, but another thing I wanted to say is, like, growing up in the generations and the generations that raised us,
Yeah.
they would say, like, "Hey, you keep people out of your business. You keep"
Yeah.
like, isn't it funny? Like,
Yeah.
they're like, "You keep people out of your business. You don't tell your friends everything. You don't even tell your family everything because people's opinions can get really nasty." And I wonder
Yes.
what is the effect like that was great advice for the grandmas and the mamas who used to say that to us
Yeah.
because yes, like if there's abuse and like I said there's something going on that really you need to escape from in your relationship or friendships and things like that, but how do you recover from putting something online that like defamed someone or made them look bad or wasn't their finest moment? And I think sometimes too on the other end, I'm like thinking on one end of someone who consumes social media, but the person who actually posts and the
Yeah.
influencer, I think they feel obligated to let someone know. Like I feel like have a feeling where it's like I can't just keep moving. I remember specifically there's one girl that I used to watch and I stopped seeing her husband in the videos, and I would see just her and her daughter.
Yeah.
And learning their dynamic was really interesting, but on one end, I was, like, doing the same thing, like, I was searching, I was like, "Okay, I see all this, they're still in the same house, what's going on? I don't see them."
Yeah.
Finally, she said, "Hey, he didn't wanna be a part of the family anymore, like, this is just not happening anymore." And I felt like it wasn't quite enough, but I was like, "What who am I?" You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, "I wanna know exactly what happened."
Exactly.
But I was like, "Who am I to do that?" But I think that after a while, like, just the pressure and people commenting, like, she just like, "Hey, let me just let you know he ain't gonna be around." We literally getting a
Right.
divorce. But she didn't say anything else. There was no more why. You didn't get to know all the ins and outs of that, which I respect now. I definitely I respected it
Yeah.
even then when I was asked it. But I think people feel obligated. They feel like they are that's their job or
Yeah.
these are their real friends, like even though like people talk about and I don't know if you're about to talk about it, so stop me if I get too deep into it, but parasocial relationships, are
No,
you
I don't even know what that is.
so that really is the relationship between you as a consumer of social media and the people who are in social media or just like even like people I don't really know so and so .com or whatever, but I always am looking at them, or I chat with them, or we gotten a chance to DM, and we actually have
Oh,
these we developed a relationship. But
right.
there is a such thing as a parasocial relationship where someone who's an influencer is feels like, and some people get comfortable. There's a couple people who are like, oh, okay, besties, this, that, and the other, or I tell y'all everything. And I'm like, why do you owe us that? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We're not actual friends. And
Right.
and by no stretch of the imagination, I love humans for being human.
Right.
But some people, I absolutely, I've cried for them. I've celebrated for them, like on the other side of the phone, but I
Right.
don't really know them. And
Right.
parasocial relationships can be dangerous because people actually, like, it can get really scary because people actually will start DMing them instead of us being like, we're cognizant and say, hey, you know what? Wait a minute. We're not owed knowing why they're getting a divorce, or why they
Right.
moved to this place,
Right.
or why they don't speak to their best friend anymore. We're not owed that. There's some people who
Right.
actually cannot separate those things, and literally will bully them in their DMs and bully them in comments and be like, you need to
Yeah.
tell me. And so it's a type of relationship that has never been around before in history. Parasocial
Hmm.
relationships is a relationship where you literally are having a relationship with an audience,
That's
and you
wild.
think, and it's reciprocal. They need you.
Yeah.
They want to consume what you're doing, and you also are wanting to put out. So it's a very odd thing in that
Yeah.
way that people, and that's why I feel like there's an obligation, like you as my sister. If I
Yeah.
started acting different, I do owe you something. I'm not going to tell you maybe every single thing and be like, oh yeah, I stubbed my toe, and then I'm not going to go all into it, but I
Right.
will tell you, yeah,
Right.
I'm at the hospital and this is what happened, whatever. And yes, in that instance, but I'm saying, I'm not going to give you every single detail of every portion of my life and every part of
Right.
my thought process, even as my sister.
Right.
So no one else deserves that either, really. So, but that's the type of relationship that it develops with that.
I think it develops because we have taken social media and monetized it. We talked about this earlier. We monetized
Mm-hmm.
it. And so as a influencer, I don't want my audience to stop listening. So how can even though I don't want to necessarily give up this part of my life, I have to because they keep asking me. This is what they want. So I got to give the audience what they want in order to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that I keep them my audience, because that is how
Yeah.
I make money. It's
Yeah.
wild. But
And I didn't
like
build
you
any
said,
other skill along the way. So
no,
this is all I got.
this is
So I
everything.
better.
That's so interesting. I had never heard that. Look at
Mm-hmm.
you being all smart and stuff.
Sometimes. Only
um,
on this day.
Only on today. So I was going to ask a question, and I want to talk about this kind of lens towards, because we have people who think that you cannot look at things or be friends with people on social media, or what have if someone has a differing opinion than you. So
Mm-hmm.
do you think that social media, because we have these somehow rules that have come up about social media, whereas in years before, I feel like I have a lot of friends that have different opinions than me, who are
Mm-hmm.
my very close friends, and they
Mm-hmm.
have very different opinions than me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but nowadays, because of social media, I can't be friends if we don't have the same political affiliation, if we don't agree with this particular news article that came out. So do you
Mm-hmm.
think that social media has created a avenue to connect us because of the amount of information we're putting out, or push us further apart because of how divisive some of it has become?
Both. I feel like the people who think just like me, I'm okay with being and chatting and having that conversation with them. If they don't, I am going to come up with the biggest think piece in the world and basically encourage others not to follow them. Um, and I feel like the thing of it is, like I said earlier, short of being harmful, and I mean physically, and I mean like in ways that that could be like not frowned upon in the world.
Mhm.
I feel like I don't care what other people are saying and feeling. And I will say for me, because I say this and I say this to my friends too. I'm like, oh, I don't want to be in an echo chamber. I said that before. But sometimes I want to delve out. What was it? The girl Evelyn of the internet. She's like, be of the world and not be of the internets, but not from the internets. Like, that be.
Yes.
So I feel like I like to delve out sometimes and be like, what y'all talking about over there? And just look. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh,
nah,
okay.
that ain't me. I'm gonna go back over here. But
I'm good.
sometimes, and it's up to me, and I'm at my big age, I can make this decision in a way that sometimes younger people or people with not the same mindset can't. But there's times where I have literally followed and watched people who are very, very, very different from me. Um, and just, figured out what they're talking about. There's sometimes because they are so different from me, I have had to make the decision where, okay, I'm not probably gonna consume this just because they're way out there for me, or they harp on this one portion of something. Like,
Right.
I don't mind you thinking differently from me, but I can't be beat over the head by something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I
Yeah.
I can understand that, hey, you think different, you're on another plane, that's fine. But I can't be beat over the head. So some of those situations I've watched on purpose because I don't want to like I feel like that kind of messes with you if you think it kind of messes with you if you think that people should only think just like you. It's
Right.
something that you said to me a long time ago, and I thought and you said it so matter of fact.
Mm.
And I said, "Oh, about at the time you were living alone." And you're like, "Yeah, I don't
I know
wanna
what
live
it
alone for
is.
this amount of time." And so I was like, "Yeah, well, it's benefits from living alone." You're like, "Yeah, it is, but living alone makes you weird." And I was like, "What?" You said it like so like, "Yeah, it makes you weird." And I said, "What? Why do you say
Mhm.
that?" And you're like, "You don't even notice. Nobody even tells you the things that you want a certain way are strange, and that the way you pitch your towels is not how people would normally do it, or not a comfortable thing for other people to be around." So, and you get so obsessed about it being that way because it's just you. You don't have anybody else to combat you. At the time you had dogs, but they weren't going to say nothing.
They ain't care.
Um, so I think the same way about that. And I don't think that's for everybody. Everybody, I have reached my threshold too. There's some conversations that I've heard and like I had my tolerance for a portion. And there's some conversations I said, well, you know what? I have to bow out of this. I have to switch my algorithm to go a different direction because I can't deal with this type of negativity or this
Right.
conversation being beat over the head with it.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what I felt like. I feel like when I don't have any other like opinions, like I said, I like to look at foraging and all that, but sometimes I got to look at something else. Um, and if and get into, or even politically, I have to listen to someone else say something else because
Yeah.
then I could sit there and say, okay, I'm really solid in my opinion now. Like I
Right.
really think like I think
Yeah.
because I've heard someone else speak on this and it made me more solid. The other thing is sometimes I can see where someone else is coming from. I can see and say,
Yeah.
you know what? It's not just my show. So to me, having a social media where all I do is just hear things that I would think on my head normally is just like living alone. It'll make you a little weird to me.
Yeah. I
It'll
agree.
make me a little weird.
Yeah. I believe that it is bringing us closer, and there's parts of it that are pushing us farther apart
Uh,
because I think that some people get so divisive because it is behind a computer screen and they are sitting in the comfort of their home that they feel they can be reckless with their mouths.
mm,
And I just feel like you can have an opinion, but you don't have to be hurtful with your opinion. And
absolutely.
I'm willing to listen to your opinion. And I'm willing to listen
Yeah.
to your opinion. It's different than mine. But until you're being hurtful, hateful, and evil with your opinion, then I'm not going to listen to you anymore.
Right.
I agree with you that there comes a point too, because the other side of social media is when something is hot and trending, it's jammed down your throat. Every single, if I watch 2 or 3 videos about it because I'm interested, now my algorithm starts sending me everything, 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 and I have to reprogramming at that point. So
Facts.
I think that if people went into it with a viewpoint of, I want to learn, I want to know why you think differently than me, I
Hmm.
want to hear what it is that you're saying. I don't want to discount everything you're saying and understand that you do have 2 sides or multiple sides sometimes of what you might be saying. And I might agree with one piece while not agreeing with the other piece. And that doesn't mean that I have to be divisive or ugly. There are
Right.
some things that are just flat divisive and ugly, and I don't want to be part of it. So that's
Facts.
where I think you have the division sometimes because people take their opinion to a level that is unnecessary and they would not do in a real world application. Um, when it comes to connecting us, though, I think on the flip side, like you look back at COVID, TikTok became something that connected us when we couldn't be connected
Facts.
because people were lonely.
Yeah.
People were sad that they couldn't be around each other. And even though there was this divisive piece of COVID that occurred, because there were a lot of people that are like, oh, my opinion is this, my opinion is that about COVID.
Yeah.
TikTok allowed us to unite with each other and still feel like, "Oh, I know what's going on, with Kasha or with this person." We laughed together as a
Yeah.
community of people, I think, about the same stuff. And I joked earlier about everybody started watching Tiger King, and I think that was solely based on a lot of TikTok, you know? But it was
Yeah.
still something that started to connect us, and we could, as a community, laugh together. And I think
Yeah.
laughter and happiness is something that can always connect people. So that's where I think TikTok is being used for good, and not evil in those instances.
Yeah.
But I think that it can go either way, providing and looking at how you're going to use it is what it boils down to. So uh, there is two sides of it, like you said. So, the last thing I wanna do, we did it on the last episode, and I came up with some more. I would like to do a rapid fire segment with you,
Okay.
being respectful of your time. We've been at this for about an hour, and we've talked about social media a lot. But I will say, first question, what is a trend that you secretly love?
Trend that I secretly love? I think I'm loud and proud about everything I love. Like, oh man. It's probably when, and we've done this on our social media, where people use like a movie quote and like just remix it to like what's going on in their life. I think that's really, I love that. Where I'm like,
Those are cool
yeah,
trends. I like that one. I agree. I think I love to see people do that with movie trends and with music. I love how they can all of
yeah,
a sudden take a lyric from a song
yeah,
and make it their own by putting their, like,
yeah.
spin as to how they interpret it, because I really feel like when you see that, you get a glimpse of what's going on in their brains,
That's true.
and sometimes it's wild. What is a trend that you secretly, or that not secretly, that you wish would disappear forever?
Like I carefully curate my algorithm, so things I don't like to see, I get rid of it. So I'm trying to think about
I
what do
do.
oh, immediately I'm like, boring.
Boring, done. If you don't have
Um,
anything, that's okay.
yeah, I don't think I can think of anything at this moment.
I struggled with that one too because I don't, I don't watch stuff that I find uninteresting. Oh, you found one.
No, it's the dancing thing. I think we kinda said that last time
You
too.
did say that
I
last
don't
time.
like the dances, like,
All the dances.
yeah, I mean, I don't mind people dancing. I don't like, and I don't even mind line dancing. I just don't like the pop a lock dance and just I don't like that. I don't know.
What's a viral trend that you actually tried?
The one where I used music as my lyric to like a music lyric to like come up with my own spin on it.
I like it.
Yeah.
What is the best thing that social media has brought into your life? I had one just pop in my head for me.
Foraging and herbs.
Foraging. This is so crazy. There is a guy that's on social media, and he is a chocolatier. Sidebar, I don't even enjoy chocolate.
Right.
Not a big fan. But
Yeah.
this man, they hire him, companies hire him to take chocolate and create things, like companies where he will make whatever, like I saw him make a car out of chocolate
Yeah, I know what you're
and
talking about.
paint it, and I cannot go past one of his videos. I love his videos.
To go back and say something.
What?
2 things that I love to watch on social media is the Nate the Hoof guy, and if you know, you freaking know.
Ugh.
Love
I
Nate the
almost
Hoof
fought you
guy,
for that.
and I like to watch people clean dirty rugs. Girl, I love that.
Oh.
But
That is
Nate the Hoof Guy, girl, I love to see him shave.
ugh,
Just one time in my life, please let me shave a cow's foot.
disgusting.
I got to do it
Disgusting.
one time. He is
Oh
really
my
like, and
gosh.
he finds like the little pus
Ugh,
balls in there. He finds like how like they stepped on a nail or something, and I'm like, clean that up for that cow. My favorite, because I love cows. Oh, I love cows. I don't even eat cows because I love them so much,
she
but
does love cows.
I love cows, and my favorite thing is when he gets done shaving it down and whatever, and then they're walking better, and I'm like, "Oh, I love that for them." Yeah, so that's one
I
thing.
mean, I'm glad they're walking better, but let the record show she sent me a video of this Nate the Hoof guy.
He's
I
wonderful.
almost I almost deleted her phone number and blocked her off my phone.
You're
It
crazy.
was the worst thing in the world
Yeah.
because I hate poop. Hate it.
It's
And
not
there was
poop poop.
poop, ugh,
I
all
hate
in
poop
this
too.
cow's hoof. Ugh, ugh, the
Girl.
worst.
Oh, you know
I
what
literally
too?
wanted to fight you.
When you said about things I've tried some of those viral recipes a couple times. Sometimes it's
Yes.
like hype, but sometimes I'm
That
like, I
was
really
one of the
enjoyed it.
things I was gonna say. What's the best thing social media has brought into your world? Recipes, baby.
Yes, yes. And don't get
Recipes.
me started on Pinterest, because you already know how we feel about Pinterest, baby.
Baby. Baby, Pinterest is the best platform that is out there. Uh, Pinterest, if you wanna be a sponsor,
Any
I will
day.
put up a pin, and we'll have a segment, the Pinterest pin of the
We'll be the
week, whatever
first.
you wanna do.
They'll be like, "Man, everybody would love that," but no, not gonna happen.
I love Pinterest
I love
for
me some
everything
Pinterest.
too, not just recipes.
Everything.
Like, my son loves for me to make him stuff. "Mom, I wanna be a robot. Can you build my costume?" Uh, Pinterest, how do you build a robot costume for a kid? Send. Ugh, the best.
Immediate. Love
"Mom,
it.
I want you to make me a Valentine's Day box that looks like a train." Valentine's Day box that looks like a train. Send. "Mom, I want my birthday theme this year to be monster trucks." Birthday trends, monster trucks, send. Uh, or even our mom got us, I want a 50th wedding anniversary with a Bridgerton theme. Baby, we had a
Baby.
Bridgerton page like that on Pinterest.
Yeah, we had a
Oh,
shared board. We were like, "Let's
it was,
share."
that's what I'm
I
saying.
love
Like,
it. Cannot
Pinterest
never.
has to be the most perfect social media page
Perfect social
out
media.
there.
Even like you'll see a comment every now and then, but you don't need to be worried about it. It'd be like, "Girl, what did you make? Tell me what you was
Yes.
making."
There's no, I can't think of a time that I've been on Pinterest and there has been hate speak on there.
Nah, I love it.
Never. I love it. Pinterest is just the best. I will tell you too, when we were talking about the trend that I liked the most, I will tell you, baby, I do enjoy a TikTok where they put it on there and they say to the comments.
That's
The comment section never lets me down, baby. Not once have I gone to the comments and been disappointed.
and now,
I if I watch a video and it's wild enough, I'll be like, "Let me check the comments myself." And
girl,
never once have I been let down
them comments will
because
have you hollering.
scr there have been times where I'm laying in bed, my husband's in bed already, he's asleep, and I make the mistake of watching something and then go to the comments, and I'm in
Girl,
bed like this, trying
dying.
not to wake him up.
Dying. I've been too many times to count.
Best ever trend on social media is the comments because the comments, sometimes they're messy,
Mhm.
sometimes they be like backing the person up. They just, like I said, they have never let me down ever.
Yeah.
Last one, and
Mhm.
then we can be done with this conversation. What is one word you would use to describe social media today?
Phew, one word?
Yes,
Symbiotic. Like, we need
that's a
it's
great one.
it's like we're
The
just, like, attached to this thing is attached to us, it's where we shop now.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't fell victim to the TikTok shop, baby.
You know, okay, Imma tell you a secret. I am so scared to shop on TikTok. I think somebody gonna steal my credit card.
Girl, they probably have, but I didn't already girl, they didn't sold me. I
Huh?
said, "Dang it."
Have you bought anything off there?
Several things. I just said now
Really?
somebody who could sponsor us, Underbrush, that remineralizing
What is
gum.
underbrush?
Yeah, they have remineralizing gum. This I am not sponsored by them, but we definitely could. Um,
What is that?
it has all these different minerals in it that is supposed like put minerals like remineralize your teeth. So if you have small holes or like sensitive teeth mainly, you can chew the gum and it actually it has a lot, I mean everything in it mainly will remineralize your teeth. In like I said, if you
Oh.
don't have no big old cavity, that's a different story. But yeah, Underbrush can sponsor us any day of the week.
Oh, underbrush. We putting
Yep.
it out there in there for y'all.
Yeah.
That's
But yeah, I bought
amazing.
that. I've bought brushes. I've bought girl, all kinds of things. What else did I buy? I bought this viral dish scrubber. Like,
That is so
they
great.
didn't got me
So
before.
the reason this I laugh is because last week I was at the school and this lady had this beautiful dress on. I was like, "That is so cute. Where'd you get that?" She's like, "Girl, TikTok shop." And I was like, "Ooh, I've never shopped on there." She's like, "You better start." And I'm like, "Ooh,
And it's
I'm
cheap, nice
scared."
stuff.
Yes. And I'd be scared because I'm like, they're gonna steal my credit card on TikTok shop. This person's not real. But I guess this is one of the ways that the internet has evolved.
Yeah,
That
and that's something that honestly, again, I made fun of it when it first came out. I was like, "Who is gonna shop on a social media?" I was like, "Girl, me." I just bought some probiotics from them too.
Jesus.
Me, girl,
I
in a hot minute.
love it.
I have 99 things sitting in my cart right now.
You have a cart on TikTok? You can do that?
Oh yeah,
Girl,
99 things
okay.
just sitting there. Cause I'm like, oh, I need to buy this. I ain't even to buy 99 things at once, but you know what I'm saying? I take them off.
That is I'm gonna have to try
They
that. I'm
got me,
scared, y'all,
girl.
but I'm
They
gonna do
did.
it. Tell the internet I'm coming to shop, but I'm scared.
Exactly.
So my word that I would say for the internet, or not for social media, not the internet's, encompassing, which is very similar to what you said, because
Yeah.
I feel like it encompasses a lot of parts of our lives. And even for those of us like me who have kind of been on the sideline of social media, um, all of a sudden, I have Arctic Wolf. He joins into sports.
Yep.
He goes to school, and the only way I can communicate is through social media. So
Very common.
it's encompassing. Like you
Yep.
said, we are intertwined and encompassed.
Yep.
So that was this one was a little more serious of a conversation, but I felt like we left out a lot of the serious when we were talking last time. So I
Yeah.
didn't want to leave it out. I thought it was important. So
Yeah.
I would say, um, we covered a lot though.
Yeah.
All
Speaking of
right.
social media, you guys can
Oh,
follow us on TikTok
that's right.
at I'm trying the number two, have a convo. And on Instagram, I'm trying the number two, have a convo pod. And then on YouTube, I'm trying the number two, have a conversation with you podcast.
That is where you go, or you can go to streettales.com and you can access this show along with all of the other shows that are on our network. So, with that being said, I'm Monique,
I'm
and
Kasha.
that's Kasha, and this conversation is over.